Bledsoe was arrested.
Patrick Montgomery was in court.
Jonathan Manapa will stay in federal custody.
No, I don't take responsibility at all.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. 26-year-old South Carolina resident Tyler Dykes was serving as a Marine when he took part in the Capitol attack. They cut him loose, not due to this though, because of other alleged crimes that he committed, which I'm going to share later. But prior to the Capitol attack, Dykes was following various Telegram groups, and Trump supporters were discussing in these groups how they were going to certify the election on January 6th. They talked about using violence to overthrow the government. And in some of these groups, they quoted Hitler. One person posted, quote, "Fuck peace. The time for peace has passed. Hail holy terror. Hail chaos." So Dykes traveled to D.C. with two of his friends, and one of them gave him a can of pepper spray the morning of the 6th. After Donald Trump's speech, they headed towards the Capitol, but for some reason, Dykes' friends decided not to get too close. So he took off. He was seen on the Capitol grounds by himself. And Dykes was seen carrying a large stick or a flagpole of some sort. And as he approached the grounds, he walked up to the snow fencing, which clearly had area closed signs on it. And he was seen ripping that fencing out of the ground, and then he tossed it aside so he and everybody else could reach the Capitol. He was also seen pulling metal barricades out of the way as they were getting closer to the building. Again, so everyone could get closer and enter the building. And then a short time later, after the mob had caused several police lines to collapse, Dykes was seen at the front of the mob, and he was pushing against other people who were then in turn pushing against the officers. So he was in the second line. And Dykes and the others caused the police to retreat because of this, because they started breaking through. So the police retreated up a flight of stairs. And when Dykes broke through the police line, he stood at the top of the stairs and he was facing the crowd, and he threw his hand up in a Nazi salute. Now, he debates that, but it's pretty obvious. The pictures are there. There's video. So about 20 minutes later, Dykes was seen outside the East Rotunda doors, and he was trying to fight to hold a door open after other members of the mob had pushed the door open from the inside. You guys will recall people had broken in through other doors and windows, and then they were going around to the various doors and windows in the building, or mostly the doors, and pushing them open so that more people could get in. So the police, there were, a few at this entrance, at this doorway. They were very outnumbered, but they were trying to secure the doors again. They were trying to fight the people on the inside and fight the people on the outside. Well, Dykes was seen pulling on one of the officers' riot shields. The officers were trying to protect themselves because they were getting hit with pepper spray. So it wasn't until basically he was hit with pepper spray. Dykes was hit. I don't know if he was hit by the police or if just, somebody else sprayed and it got him. But it wasn't until then that he let go of it. So he retreated briefly. And then when he came back, the mob had sprayed the police with pepper spray. And so Dykes took advantage of that, and them being outnumbered and, obviously in pain. So he grabbed onto a riot shield with both of his hands, and he used his full body weight to rip it away from two officers who were holding it. And then he turned the shield around. He moved away from the door for a second, turned the shield around so he was holding onto the handles. And then he used it to push on the backs of other people who, again, were pushing against the police. Within minutes, Dykes and other members of the mob had made it inside the building. And a while after that, Dykes was seen, he maneuvered to the front of another group that was trying to push past officers in a hallway. They were trying to reach the Senate chamber. So Dykes assaulted the officers with the shield, and he forced them to retreat again further down the hallway. Now, eventually, Dykes exited the building, and he handed the shield to another officer who was outside. He remained on the Capitol grounds, though, for a while until it was almost dark outside when reinforcements arrived. So Dykes was arrested on July 17th of 2023, and he was charged with robbery, civil disorder, 2 counts of assaulting officers with a dangerous weapon, entering a restricted building or grounds with a dangerous weapon, 2 counts of disorderly conduct, one of which also included a dangerous weapon enhancement, 2 counts of physical violence, again, one of those included the dangerous weapon enhancement, and parading or demonstrating in a Capitol building. In April of 2024, Dykes pleaded guilty to the 2 assault charges, but without the dangerous weapon enhancement. So he faced up to 8 years in prison, 3 years of probation, and $250,000 in fines for each of those 2 assaults. The prosecutor, though, requested only 63 months in prison, 3 years of probation, and $2,000 in restitution. Pretty weak considering his criminal history. So he was arrested and sentenced in relation to the 2017 white supremacist march in Charlottesville, Virginia. So he ended up pleading guilty to 1 crime. He was hit with multiple crimes, but he pleaded guilty to burning an object with intent to intimidate. And then he was also seen in photos and videos. He was assaulting someone in the crowd the night before the rally. And so when Dykes was arrested for his January 6 crimes, he had already been sentenced to 5 years for Charlottesville. Now, unfortunately, 4.5 years of that were suspended, and he ended up serving only 4 months. And during his bond hearing in the Charlottesville case, the prosecutor told the judge that Dykes was a suspect in another string of crimes. So there was apparently a string of 2020 vandalisms. Evidently, this happened in South Carolina. A bunch of businesses were painted with swastikas and the words, "We are everywhere." So Dykes' father was in court for that hearing. And he was shown photos of the people who vandalized these buildings, and he admitted that, yeah, it looks like my son. And his father, during that hearing, found out that Dykes had been kicked out of the Marine Corps because of the vandalism. So he wasn't aware of that. And Dykes is very deep in the white supremacist neo-Nazi movement. The FBI found all kinds of neo-Nazi content on his phone, and he's been tied to several extremist groups, including a very violent group that's called the Base. The prosecutor said Dykes actually went to a training with the Base, and they are a well-known neo-Nazi accelerationist group. So that means that they take part in actions to try to start a race war. That is their whole goal. And the FBI also found instructions for how to make explosive devices on Dykes' phone. So U.S. District Judge Beryl Howell presided over Dykes' case, and at the sentencing hearing, Dykes told her that on January 6, quote, "I falsely believed that I would be free of consequences." So he's admitting right there, like, yeah, I'm going to commit crimes as long as I think there's no consequences. And then he also said he still backs Donald Trump, quote, "to be the next president of our country." It's so strange, isn't it? I mean, the right keeps telling us Trump isn't racist, and yet all of these neo-Nazis support him. That's so odd, right? That's called a clue. It's called a clue, people. Anyway, Judge Howell called Dykes out for his extremist ties and also for his past behavior. And she said what he did on January 6, quote, "was not impulsive conduct that can be explained by an underdeveloped brain." So when all was said and done, Dykes was sentenced to 57 months in prison, 3 years of probation, and $2,000 in restitution, also a fine of $20,000, so one of the larger fines imposed. I wish she had given him the full 63 months, but I'll take it. The good news is, you know, two things. He now has multiple felonies on his record, and by the time he gets out of prison, Trump might not be around anymore, right? Might be 6 feet under. Anyway, don't mean to get you all excited. don't mean to excite you too much. in the middle of the day, middle of the afternoon. Anyway, all right, I will let you all know when I hear more. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Please like, please share, and subscribe to the channel if you have not. Trying to hit 100,000 by next month for my birthday. Really appreciate any help you can give me with that. Share it with other people. Ask them to subscribe. And if you can donate, would really appreciate that as well. Links are below in the description box on YouTube and the podcast. Love you guys. Take care. Talk with you soon.